We've just celebrated our emancipation and independence over the last few days. COVID-19 may have changed the tone and tenor, but never the passion. Indeed, Jamaica land we love is resilient and strong. It's why we pioneered a resilient corridor to open up a vital sector in the economy, while never losing sight of our public health priority. Hi there, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for making it Jamaica Magazine this Sunday. There's much more in store on the other side of this break.
I love waking up every day in this country. This is where I was born and raised. I have such a passion for my country, and for me, this is home. In Jamaica, a lot of people, they look at just like beach, sea, sand, but our mountains are something to behold. It's majestic up there, and it's a different type of peace. It's a different type of lifestyle completely. I could mention many different places that are amazing, but the one thing I do love about Jamaica as well is that you can find that relaxation, you can find that chill in your backyard. Apart from it being an incredibly beautiful country, an incredibly beautiful island, we have a wonderful, wonderful culture, wonderful, vibrant, colorful people. There is definitely a realness to Jamaica. There's definitely something that no matter what keeps you in touch with reality here. Why come to Jamaica? It all comes back down to Jamaica as a whole. The food, the music, the culture, the people, the climate. Come out and meet us, come out and experience what Jamaica has to offer.
Every Sunday, we dedicate most of our time on this show to giving you the facts on a range of issues, straight from the people in the know. Today's all about tourism, and the Minister himself is here to tell us how this dynamic sector is helping to keep families and the country's economy afloat as the world grapples with a pandemic. Let's join the conversation with program host Edmund Campbell.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Edmund Campbell. As the threat from COVID-19 increased, one initiative that the government took to limit the spread of the virus was the closing of our borders on March 21. The borders were reopened to Jamaicans on June 1 and for international travelers on June 15. But what does this mean for the tourism industry, and just how well is that going? Joining us today to provide the facts is Tourism Minister, the Honourable Edmund Bartlett. Minister Bartlett, welcome again to the program. So good to have you.
Thank you, Edmund.
Okay.
And it's always so good to be on the particular crucible through which much of government policy and information is transmitted to the wider Jamaica.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, let us start with why we had to open the sector at the time we did. Why was it important?
Well, the economy of Jamaica is heavily predicated on tourism and tourism flows. And besides the fact that it represents more than 50% of your foreign exchange that we generate, it also provides jobs directly, indirectly, and but to just over 350,000 people. So it's not just now about bringing guests in, it's about securing the economy and the livelihood of perhaps almost 20% of the labor force in the country.
Yes.
So the action had to be taken, and to be taken on the basis of careful thought and good management of the crisis, but more importantly, an understanding of what needs to be done to mitigate the impact of the virus and to safeguard the well-being of the people of Jamaica and the workers of the industry.
Exactly. So we started on a phased basis. Where are we now?
Well, we finished a month and a half in the terms of the international visitors, but having regard to when the borders were open, we have just completed 2 months. In that time, We've brought in just about 65,000 people, and we've earned a little over $80 million US for the country. We've been able to bring back just a little over 30,000 workers, and we're hoping to open the attractions now, and that will again bring perhaps another 5,000 to 7,000 workers. So, we're inching along. It's a little way, but we have to do it carefully. We have to do it based on the algorithms that we've established. We also have to do it to safeguard in every way the health and well-being of our own people.
Right. People are complaining that we're having a lot of tourists coming in, and that might cause us to have more of the virus. But tell us, how do the figures compare with tourists versus the cases of COVID-19?
Well, the truth is that more than 60% of the infected cases that have been brought in are really from our own Jamaicans returning home. Because we have established this corridor, the resilience corridor, and it's pretty much a stay at home for the visitor. So the tourist stays within that corridor and can only operate within the hotels in that corridor. So until we open the attractions on the 7th, the tourist is not able to go beyond the confines of their own hotel. So the management of their own interaction across Jamaica is very carefully done. And where we have the problems have been the Jamaicans who come home and also stay in the corridor but go to see relatives and break the stay-at-home order and the quarantine orders, and then go and see their families, and in the process infect. So we have to manage that better. We have to manage also the visitors, because there are some visitors who do breach, and we have to manage that too. Right. So it's a whole process now of building out a team, and we have been doing that. The Ministry of Health, they have brought in some 1,500 more surveyors, if you will. We from tourism have brought in a little over 200 ourselves, between the constables that we have and the TPD co-workers. And then the Ministry of Local Government is also involved in bringing out some of the municipal force corps. And so together we are trying to build a strong team to do the actual surveillance, not only along the corridor, but to do also surveillance in the wider communities where returning Jamaicans have to go to their homes and to be quarantined and or to follow the stay-at-home orders.
Right. So some of our workers are now out. I mean, many of them. What kind of feedback are you getting from the workers themselves?
I tell you, it's a good feeling. I've been around, as perhaps you might have noticed. I've gone to the hotels that are open. I've gone to the attractions to be open. I've gone to the small and medium properties, and I've also gone to our vendors and to our fisher folks and so on. I've gone to all samples. I wouldn't say all, meaning everybody or every single element within the sector, but I've gone to representative samples across the country. So what we're really doing are two things. One, we established the protocols, as you know, which the world recognized as being very, very good. And have actually given Jamaica the approval, what they call the very prestigious safe travel approval. So Jamaica is one of perhaps the only country in the region that has that safe travel a seal of approval from the WTTC. Excellent. So we have gone to acquire a number of items that are important for the compliance of particularly small entities to the COVID requirements. So we've done our part in terms of helping the Ministry of Health to manage this whole process. And we continue to do public education. We continue to educate, because that's the surest way. The key touch points, one, wearing a mask. We insist on that. I'm not wearing mine now only because you're interviewing me in my office.
Yes.
I'm alone in this room, right? Um, the next key to social distancing, and we make sure that the hotels have so configured their arrangements to respect and to observe social distance.
Good.
We've looked at the whole issue of general PPEs, that is personal protective equipment
Yes.
that workers need to have to make sure that all of them have it and are utilizing it. We spend a lot of time getting our partners to do the sanitization routine, because that is a key part of keeping the virus out.
Yes.
We recognize that some of our smaller hotels and smaller partners may not be able to acquire them because they're costly. TEF has gone in and we have done some acquisition.
Yes.
We've spent over $20 million on getting these equipment so that they can have it. But once we put those in place, we are insisting now on compliance.
Yes.
And we're certifying you too that you are compliant, because we come and we do our assessment.
Okay, very good, sir. We're going to take a break now and pick up with some more information on the reopening of our tourism industry.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We continue our discussion with Tourism Minister, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett. So, how the ministry has this new initiative to have the COVID security insurance plan in place. Tell us, how is that going and who's the benefit and how will it work?
Well, the program is going apace. The negotiations are continuing with the potential partner, the logistic company that offers this coverage. And then we're talking with local purveyors of insurance, like Sagicor and so on, to provide what we call the bolting down of the coverage. And then there is the health coverage side, and then there's a repatriation element, which means that if the visitor comes and tests positive and also shows symptoms or is ill to be hospitalized, we can repatriate them immediately. There will be planes that are on alert and available to take them back. Various sizes, equipped in a certain way, depending on the state of health of the visitor. All of that is not going to be at the cost of Jamaica's taxpayers. I think that's a good part of it. Whilst we are making sure that there's this overall health response, the response is not going to be to the account of the taxpayers of Jamaica. In fact, the tourist is going to be required to purchase this before they actually board the flight to come to Jamaica. So when they come, they'll be tested at their expense. If they need to be quarantined, they will quarantine at their expense. If they get positive and they have to be repatriated, they'll be repatriated at their expense.
All right. So how do we ensure that they know they have this information, though?
Well, as soon as we have completed the negotiations and the agreements have been all signed off, and by the way, we're trying to make it not a government connected arrangement. So it's trying to make private sector do their job. All that government has done is to seed the idea. As you know, it sort of came from me. So we seeding the idea and we're saying to go ahead and do what you have to do. And because we established the Tourism Recovery Task Force, which is chaired by a private sector person. In fact, the chairperson is Wilfred Bagaloo from Pricewaterhouse. And we benefited from consultancy services from them. And then we had a good lady, Ms. Jessica Shannon, also from Pricewaterhouse, who did an enormously strong job with our TPDCO to build out those 188 pages of protocols that Jamaica was able to put forward to manage our industry and to get the attention of the world. So in short order, and I'm hoping certainly before this month is out that we will have this insurance cover and repatriation program in place so that, that further layer of protection for the Jamaican people can be had as a result.
Good. Now, the Rediscover Jamaica campaign was launched last month. Tell us, how is that going?
Well, I tell you, I'm amazed. I went to Mystic Mountain just to see what was happening there. And the Jamaicans were out in full force, children and all. And I like the idea. When I go around to hotels, we see our local people there. We see them at the attractions, and they are enjoying themselves, and they're doing it responsibly. They're wearing the mask, and they are observing the protocols in the places. And we're happy about that. But there are one or two cases, that we have to talk about.
Yes.
Because sometimes we see real breaches by a few, how some Jamaicans are, and I want to appeal to them. Please, let's try to contain the spread. We cannot afford the spread to happen, because if that happens, we're going to have to go back in another mode that we don't want to.
Yes.
Not because we're doing well and the world says we're doing well. Don't abuse it, because the virus is still here.
Yes.
Virus is still here. It's not gone anywhere. And it is going to come to you because it can't go nowhere else. It only operates in human beings.
Yes.
We are what we call the vectors, human beings. We are the ones who contain and support this virus. And then we are the one who pass it on to somebody else.
Yes.
So I beg, please, let's observe the protocols. So all of these things we say, and we're not saying them lightly, because science tells us what causes the spread.
Yes.
And science tells us also that if we do some things, we can prevent the spread.
Right.
And the things that science tells us to do, we call them the protocols now that we're telling you to do. Wear the mask or face shield, social distancing, sanitize. Yes?
Yes.
Do what we tell you.
Yes.
Stay home. And stay home and stay safe.
Right. A positive note to end on. Thank you so very much, Minister, for coming and sharing with us today on Get the Facts.
Thank you. And let's keep the gatherings to a minimum so as to reduce the possibility of the spread.
And we say amen to that. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was the Honorable Minister Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism. Despite the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic, our tourist industry is reshaping and adjusting to meet the economic and recreational needs of both Jamaicans living here and our visitors. As you enjoy what our island has to offer, please observe the control measures which have been put in place to keep us safe. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you, as always, more important information. I'm Rose Campbell. Thanks for watching and take good care.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
As important as tourism is to Jamaica's development, so too is what we can achieve in science, energy, and technology. So let's find out what's on the agenda for this fiscal year.
According to the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, for Jamaica to achieve a decade of growth, we must help our people imagine a new Jamaica,
where science is embraced by all and science is solving our big problems in health, national security and agriculture. We must imagine a new Jamaica where government and businesses are fully digital, where access to the internet is a right and no one is left behind. The 2021 fiscal year is already shaping up to be a big year for technology. E-learning will complete the distribution of 25,000 tablets under the Tablets for Teachers program and 40,000 tablets under the TIPS program. The USF will complete 3 additional Wi-Fi hotspots.
According to Minister Williams, there are 4 major priorities that will help to define the technology space for this fiscal year.
The recruitment of the transition team is in progress, with the executive team now on board. This will pave the way to operationalize the new entity. As part of the public sector transformation, a government-wide area network is being established to facilitate the transfer of information among ministries, departments, and agencies, and consolidating data centers across government agencies. A high-level design of this is already completed, and full implementation will start this year. A pilot of the technology framework named MyGovJM will be launched soon in this fiscal year and will focus initially on issues relating to streetlight maintenance. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is partnering with the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology on this initiative. The Scientific Research Council will continue to strengthen and expand its agriculture and plant breeding pursuits, which will see the institution expanding its program to include coffee, as well as undertake efforts jointly with iSense and MyCap to engage in a fruit fly control program using radiation techniques. We will advance the feasibility study for an integrated pumped hydro storage system with reverse osmosis desalination plant that could economically turn our seawater into fresh water and provide some 25 million gallons of water for Kingston and St. Andrew, while facilitating much needed renewable energy storage.
The electricity sector is also expected to see major upgrades.
The US $2.8 billion investment projection in the electricity generation sector to 2037 aims to achieve 50% renewable energy mix based on the integrated resource plan. For the 5-year target to 2025, Jamaica will be going to market for 320 megawatts of solar and or wind, 120 megawatts of LNG, and 74 megawatts of hydro, waste to energy, and or biomass. Implementation of the 220 million house wiring project in constituencies will commence for projects that have been submitted to the ministry by members of parliament. The project is being managed by the JSIF under an MOU with the ministry.
The ministry will also strengthen the policy, regulatory and legislative frameworks by updating the National Energy Policy, completing the Petroleum Downstream Act, and amending the Electricity Act of 2015. This has been the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology's 2020-2021 sectoral presentation, Creating a New Jamaica.
It's always beautiful in Jamaica. Everything usually be green and pretty. We have beautiful water. Temperature that is normal temperature, the water never cold. We've been into business for about 13 years. JUSC-COOL, just cool. It's spelled with 3 zeros. We make 3 different types of pudding. We make potato, we make cornmeal, and we make toto. This is the cornmeal, okay? That's actually almost the last process. What he's gonna do now, he's gonna put a gel on top. Within no time, he has to take it off because the gel give it a nice taste. We have people like Shelley and Fraser came here. We have, you could name the biggest artists, Shabba Ranks, name them all. Being the Man, they all come here and buy their pudding. This is what we grew up on. Now, when the people come to Jamaica, everybody, as soon as they land off the plane, this is where they come. They want to taste this pudding because it brings them back to the old days. The long time days when they was kids growing up and they used to sit on the fire and watch their mama, their grandmother bake the pudding. We try not to change off our roots, we try to keep it that way. And not only that, we have a lot of love because we're all about love.
This is all the time we have for today, but as always, Jamaica Magazine returns tomorrow. If you can't wait, there's a lot more to see on our website, jis.gov.jm, or on our YouTube channel. And don't be shy to give us your feedback and suggestions. We're on all the social media platforms. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson saying thanks for watching and see you next time.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.